Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Uh, this is Apparition. Before I start my video, I would just like to point your direction to my fair use notice. Um, Most of the time, I simply reference materials or articles or videos that I see. I don't actually put it, I try not to put those things into my videos, but I reference them to make an argument. I also provide general legal advice for educational purposes. So, so I have a disclaimer for that as well, just so that people know that I'm not intending to give a specific person legal advice. And any materials or any articles that I mention in the video will be linked in the video description below. Thank you. Equal treatment and the equity deception. There is a difference between men and women, and it has to do with our fundamental biological makeup. There is no social arrangement that can be done to change this scientific fact. Why are there overwhelmingly more male investors, inventors, pioneers, and entrepreneurs? All of these roles have one thing in common: risk taking. What biological mechanism is involved in risk taking? Testosterone. Statistically speaking, men, especially young men, have a hell of a lot more testosterone than women, and this hormone has been proven to be instrumental in successful calculated risk taking. Where there is risk, there is great reward. When feminists speak about the lack of women at the helm of Fortune 500 companies or the lack of women involved in the hard sciences, they conveniently forget to mention the role that testosterone plays in all this. Who's pushing the equity agenda? In the beginning, it was mostly postmenopausal women who were part of the suffragette movement. Why? Because these particular women had lots of testosterone as compared to progesterone. If a woman is the CEO of a company, she's likely menopausal age as well. And there is an incredible lack of young, successful female entrepreneurs. The spectacular failure of Elizabeth Holmes, who is the CEO of Theranos, is a case in point, and judging by her deep voice, she must have had a hell of a lot more testosterone than her feminist sisters. And another point about Elizabeth Holmes, she gained a majority of her startup capital through connections made by her father, who's a politician in the U.S. government. And she was connected to people like I forget his name now. It'll come back to my memory. Overwhelmingly, when women attain positions of power, it is usually through a man. They inherit it from their father, i.e., Elizabeth Holmes, or their husband, i.e., Elizabeth Colt. So now, feminists are creating a social apparatus which allows women to systematically take wealth from men through equity legislation and require companies of certain size to have the minimum amount of women in upper management and on the boards of large companies and institutions. The hard fact is that many young women don't want to go into sciences or be entrepreneurs. Many simply want to have babies and raise a family. However, this narrative is consistently being shunned by the feminist establishment because they want to redefine social roles and norms. Unless we genetically re-engineer women, they will never be the same as men. They will always be biologically and socially different. Yet feminists continue to force a social arrangement that is unsustainable and unnatural. Look what happens when women run companies. In the year preceding Yahoo's downfall, the CEO, Marissa Mayer, fired many of the key men who kept the company afloat before it tanked. Is it any wonder why women are more unhappy now than at any time in existence. Feminists has created such great social tension over the past century that our present social arrangement will soon be unsustainable and there will be a massive correction. It amazes me how many people are surprised at all the middle class, uh, 35 plus white males who voted for Trump. Trump is a major check on feminism, and there are many more developments to come. Being equal is being treated equally. The two are completely different. Sorry. Being equal and being treated with equity are two completely different concepts. Most men, uh, even conservative men, don't disagree with the with equal treatment of women. Um, that is applying the same rules to men and women. The problem with third wave feminism is equity. A feminist colleague of mine once explained that equal and equity are not the same thing. She acknowledged that women and men are different, which is why we need to apply equity to level the playing field, she said, quote unquote. This reminds me of Orwell's novel Animal Farm, where pigs changed the constitution to all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. In other words, according to feminists, we need to apply different rules to men and women so that women can have a fair chance. But this is totally illogical. How can a system be considered fair if different rules are applied? It cannot. And this is the great feminist deception. Third wave feminists um, are not really about creating equal opportunity for men and women. They're all about equity, which is channeling wealth away from men who worked hard for it to women who did not. Just look at many of the startups. Many of them started with men as the key driving forces. So we have Apple, you have Facebook, you have Yahoo, you have Google, and you have Microsoft. After the companies achieved critical mass and IPO, they were infiltrated by women, by feminist women. There is a interesting article written by a woman at the Daily Mail newspaper where she chronicles the disaster of a company run solely by women. And I linked the description below. Many men smell the stank feminist agenda, and they are not having any of it. MGTOWs, MRAs, and other suspicious men can bring down the whole equity is equality facade very easily. Simply stop. Stop participating in the official economy. Stop paying taxes. Stop marrying women. And simply by being passive and going your own way, you can dismantle the whole thing. You see, women need men because men are the workhorses of the economy. Men drive industry, and men are the catalysts of innovation. Without testosterone to fuel innovation, nothing new gets invented and everything stops. Without innovation, the economy stops growing too. Right? Imagine if all working men in North America stopped working and paying taxes. The government could not afford to fund all of the bullshit gynocentric programs like welfare and pay the salaries of feminist professors and civil servants. There are many ways men can avoid to pay tax. He can start a small business and write off business expenses. He can donate to charitable men's organizations. He can move to a non-income tax country like United Arab Emirates or Bahrain and accumulate wealth and avoid paying taxes on those earnings. To learn more about how men can usurp gynocentric society, see my other video entitled Becoming Self-Sufficient and Independent. Thank you for watching. If you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, and comment. And also visit my Patreon page as well as my GoFundMe page. And if you'd like to donate, you can do that via PayPal. I also have a Bitcoin wallet. Currently those are the two methods of donation. And if you have a special request, you can message me and I'll try to answer you. And also you can hit me up for advice on how to be an independent MGTOW.